Control. Your on-air automotive magazine with co-hosts Fred Staub and Les Jackson. Everything you need to know about new and used cars. Industry news. We'll fix or repair your car on the air. Fasten your seatbelts and let us take the wheel. Now, your ride is about to begin. Because you're on Cruise Control. Cruise Control. Cruise Control.
And welcome to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Hello, everyone. It's Fred Staub, and as always, joining me and along for the ride, as he has been for a long time, none other than Les Jackson. How you doing, Les?
Here I am, folks. Doing great. How are you, Fred?
All right, not bad at all. And we are got a kind of a jam-packed agenda here. Some big talking points, some new vehicles, some pricing information, all good stuff if you're thinking about buying a new vehicle. And that's what we do here on Cruise Control. We're glad to have you along for the ride. So let's get started, Les. It is a big question that manufacturers have been asking. How do automakers prevent cheap Chinese electric vehicles from taking over the worldwide market? Well, the head of Stellantis has some ideas. I was reading, I believe it was an article on Jalopnik, and they said this could be an extinction-level event for legacy car manufacturers.
It's possible. I don't think it'll happen like that, but it's possible. Anyway, we'll see. Let me turn that off. It shouldn't even be on.
That's okay.
That's right. But it's certainly going to happen in some way, not too distant future. But meanwhile, the EPA might be getting ready to roll back the emission standards to help struggling car companies. I'm surprised about that.
Yeah, well, we'll tell you. There's a little insider information there. We'll tell you what might be going on there. So we'll fill you in on that. And Toyota brings back a legendary vehicle, and it is none other than the Land Cruiser. And this is a big beast of a vehicle, but we've got pricing information on it, plenty of information. It's got that look that you call the the Range Rover look, doesn't it?
The Range Rover look. Everybody's doing it. It's actually a practical look for a true off-roader.
Squared off, angular.
Yeah.
Pretty cool though, and we will discuss them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you buy that, you probably don't have to buy another vehicle for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I think that's true.
It will probably stay there.
We're going to be talking tech a little later. This time, the Nautilus Digital Cabin Scent Collection. We'll explain that.
I think they have one called the Old McDonald's Hamburger that fell under your seat, don't they?
Yeah. that one, I think that's not terribly popular.
The aged gym bag filled with sweaty clothes.
The aged gym bag has been rejected formally, as has the old tennis shoe.
We'll be right back.
Yeah.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control. Fred and I are going to, we're not going to be alarmists, are we? We're just going to bring up something that is likely to occur over time, and the effects could be troubling. How's that for being subtle?
No, that is definitely good, Les. Yes, it's been discussed around the auto industry, and let's lay it out for us. Okay, we told you that we have great electric cars, but they're $80,000. People don't want those. They want them to be the same price as gas-powered cars or close to it, right? And hey, if you're spending $40,000 for a gas car, you don't want to double it for an electric car and have less range.
Right.
And and that's fine. I think that's people understand that. There's nothing weird about that at all. So manufacturers can't build them here cheaper. They can't do it. It's just too hard. They have to buy the batteries and everything else, and they've discounted things like there's a story that the Lightning they're cutting the price by $15,000, so they lose money on these things. They can't keep going. But if the mandates for electric cars are not lifted, and the manufacturers like Ford, GM, Stellantis, and others can't provide vehicles, electric vehicles at the prices people are familiar with for internal combustion vehicles, what will happen? Well, the feeling is China will move in, companies like BYD and others will come in and dominate the market. And they can sell these vehicles for 30% less because their labor is 30% less.
And their cost of their materials for the batteries are 30% less because that's where they mine them.
Right. So they're feeling, the worry is, and it's a big worry, that car companies could just go away, or they could just end up building high-end big cars, small volume, high profit, and they will no longer be a mass market company. It won't be a full-line company. We've started to see this already. I mean, look at this. They're dropping cars. They're just, they can't build a small electric car here profitably.
No.
And we just talked about the Chevy Equinox that's built in Mexico because they can't build them here profitably. Any small cars, even internal combustion cars. So there's a big worry here about this. And I think there was a Jalopnik article that said this could be an extinction level event for big car companies. And they know this. And Jim Farley said that I'm not going to lose $36,000 on each electric car I build. And he's not going to build any more new electric models until they can get it on a less expensive platform. Okay.
Wouldn't it just be if you were running a car company and you were selling cars of all different prices, wouldn't you be right now starting to negotiate with the Chinese companies and to supply their electric cars under your brand, like Buick does with the Envision, and then that's where your low end electrics come from.
Well, you, sir, are a segue master because our story is about Carlos Tavares, who is the head of Stellantis, suggesting building Leap motor-powered EVs in America with Chinese components. So what he's talking about, they have invested in this Chinese company called Leap Motor to power EVs, right? And they want to build electric vehicles based on this technology and potentially build them in the U.S., and they feel that is their way to get around this problem. And they're saying, for example, the European Union is considering tariffs for Chinese-built electric vehicles sold on the continent to create a level playing field for automakers. And so is Germany's economic minister. He said that this is about unfair competition. It's not about keeping efficient, cheap cars out of the European market. So one way around it might be to use Chinese components, but have a company like Stellantis build the bodies and the rest of the car.
Yeah.
We will talk about this. There's other ways companies are looking to get around this as well. So we will talk about that when we come back on Cruise Control. your on-air automotive magazine. Stay tuned.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control. Fred Staub and Les Jackson here with us, here with you. And we're glad you're along for the ride. Don't forget, you got a comment on one of our stories or a story you'd like us to do. You can throw that into the comments on YouTube or Facebook or X, any of those.
X?
Yep, formerly known as Twitter. That's like Prince, they used to say, the artist formerly known as Prince. But anyway,
easier to pronounce.
Yeah, well, he had that logo thing, like
Which,
that's my name now, and nobody knew what. Well,
Yeah.
it's a logo, it's not something we can say. It doesn't have a name, so. Anyway, we were talking about this idea from Stellantis. They bought this company called Leap Motor. It's a Chinese company. We're heavily invested in it. And their thought was, well, we can build the cars in the U.S., use this powertrain. I guess batteries have to be U.S. supplied, right, to get the
for the full federal
discount.
tax cut, yes.
Is it the motors, or could you have Chinese motors?
Well, I mean, I think we can wind motors pretty easily.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying it's interesting. Now, the other way around this too, both the head of Ford and GM said they would partner with each other to build technology and share it. And I think that makes a lot of sense.
That makes sense.
That's been done pretty well throughout the years. You look at Subaru and Toyota teaming up on some products.
Sure.
You look at
decades, Mazda and Ford and BMW and GM.
Yeah, I think that has potential. The one thing in this that I always like to point out: self-driving cars, back burner, back shelf.
They really. They are really on the back burner now. No one has asked me about self-driving cars in well over a year.
Yeah, so
I used to get
they can't do it
a week.
They can't do it. They just can't do it. So, so let's talk about the other angle in this. Of course, now this is a report from CarBuzz, and it's an interesting scenario. While what was happening here is EPA passed more stringent regulations that would kick in from 2027 to 2032. And the idea was to push further to have more zero emissions vehicles, mostly electric. Now, this is from CarBuzz. It says, according to a trio of insiders, the U.S. government has reconsidered its stance on future emissions regulations and will relax elements of its climate change combat strategy, delaying an EV takeover. For some context, let's quickly look back to April 2023 when the EPA announced it would pose more stringent regulations from 2027 through 2032. And that there were union leaders and dealerships led to calls for a rethink. I think this will happen. I think we've already seen it happen. Europe, they were talking about, we're going to have only electric vehicles sold by 2035. They've moved that out further now. You can't sink the whole industry to do this, or just say, great, well, you could end up with like cars built in China, and who knows what the pollution is there when you build them. That could be worse, right?
It would. I think we could definitely say it would be worse. I mean, look at the pollution there now.
Now this is just this, not to get into politics or anything, but I think sometimes you got to look at advances. You can't say I want the whole enchilada all the time. If you got like 85% of it, that's pretty good. You know,
That's right.
if you make everything a hybrid, if you make everything a plug-in hybrid, you build electric cars, you work on improving the technology, solid state, hydrogen, all this, that, and the other thing. I mean, plus, let's look at how clean vehicles have gotten in the last 3 decades.
Absolutely.
So you keep working on that. Synthetic fuel, um, it's not like, okay, let's flip a switch and go to electric cars. I think they got to look at the positive side of what's being done. We're all guilty of that, right? Oh, I didn't do
Right.
enough. I didn't get enough done. Well, look, yeah, but you did these 25 things today. So that's my viewpoint. And you know, keep striving, but you can't put the companies out of business either. So that's my
Well,
take.
that is true, and there have been instances where the regulations have been folded back, uh, either delayed or pushed back a little bit, just because an entire industry. This isn't necessarily the car industry. Just couldn't meet it, but eventually they would lean toward it. And right now, internal combustion engines are, boy, are they really clean. They're The actual number is 99.7 times cleaner than they were in 1969.
That's amazing.
So what does that mean? Since you bring it up, Fred, what that means is if you drive a brand new 69 Chevrolet from DC to Baltimore and back, that's 80 miles or so.
Right?
And then you drive a brand new Chevrolet today and start driving it to meet the same amount of pollution that 69 one did, you would actually drive it from here to Los Angeles, back here up to New York, and back here.
Wow. Wow. So big
It's that
difference.
much cleaner. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I call out the spec from Toyota. They made all of their Camrys hybrid now. You can't buy one that's not a hybrid.
Right.
They'll save like 49 million gallons of gasoline in one
Oh,
year.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Which,
is big. Really
well,
big.
it is big. Yeah. But it would be lovely someday to get zero emissions. And of course, if everything was hydrogen, you could. But times are changing everywhere in the world, and things aren't as easy as they used to be, and there are a whole lot of other pressures, and uh, you've got to change with it.
I also think people working at home cleans up the air.
Big, big, big change.
Yeah. I mean, I know for what I do, I think it's fine. It works. And I think it cleans up the air. You don't have to drive that day, or you don't have to drive far, which means you could buy a Fiat 500e with a 149-mile range and just drive to
Yeah,
the store.
yeah, you
So,
could.
yeah, there's many ways to look at it, and it's not like ban, ban, ban. We have to take this away. You got to look at the bigger picture. That's all I'm saying. And if your goal, keep going for your goal, but So we want to hear what you think. Is that how you think, or should there be like hard and fast numbers where they should cut it off at like 2035? Let us know. Drop us a note in the YouTube or Facebook or X comments, and we'll talk about it on the air for sure. Coming up, Les, we've got a different vehicle from what we've been talking about. We're going to be talking about the Land Cruiser, which is a big name from Toyota. It took a little bit of a break, and it will be coming back. Very angular, very squared off, very Range Rover-ish. And we have some more detailed information on it, some pricing. And I think it's quite a cool-looking vehicle, and obviously it's going to do very well for them. So we'll talk about that and more when we come back on Cruise Control. your on-air automotive magazine. I'm Fred Staub. He is Les Jackson. We will be right back. Here we go.
Welcome back. Welcome back to Cruise Control. We're rather pleased with this next story because it's the return of Toyota's classic Land Cruiser.
Yeah.
They were gone for a while, but they were here since 1958.
That's crazy.
Which was that's a long time, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but they sort of look like they've always looked. The new one, which is good because why should they change much? It's just all inside is changed.
Yeah,
and it's incredibly capable, incredibly reliable. It's Toyota.
End of story.
Yeah, I made my point. Yeah, but of course it's the innards are different. We're looking at all kinds of changes from the frame up, as they say.
Yeah. Well, it is the 250 series. It was completely reimagined and redesigned. It has the iForce Max hybrid powertrain, made it to a four-wheel drive system. Premium hybrid powertrain produces 326 horsepower and 465 pound-feet of torque. And the Land Cruiser features an electric motor in the bell housing between the 2.4-liter turbocharged engine and the 8-speed automatic transmission. This design offers maximum performance, increased efficiency, and the Land Cruiser has received, and this is a big truck, an EP estimated 23 miles per hour combined, which is higher combined MPG than the previous model. I'll tell you what,
that is remarkable for something that big and heavy.
I'll tell you something about this drivetrain too as well. I've driven other Toyota products with this, and it sounds like a V8. We were talking earlier about, electric cars and the sounds, but I know this is an internal combustion hybrid car, but it has a really nice exhaust note when you get on it. And I'm driving a Lexus right now that has a similar drivetrain, and I'm very, very impressed with the sound of it. So, but let's talk a little bit more about this. So it can do a power split, 50-50, front and back. Has four-wheel high and low, so it is not an all-wheel drive. It is a four-wheel drive system. It has automatic limited slip differentials. Land Cruiser's front overhang has been decreased for a greater approach, providing 31-degree approach and a 25-degree breakover and a 22-degree departure angles. And as you said, it's new from the frame up. Toyota Safety Sense 3 is standard, pre-collision, lane departure alert, steering wheel assist, full speed range dynamic radar control, lane tracing, road sign assist, automatic high beams. So tons and tons of stuff.
Yep.
So what does it go for? So what does it start at? Well, prices start at $55,950, and it is expected to be available in spring of 2024. Pretty cool stuff, isn't it?
Well, it is. I mean, it's not inexpensive, but then again, you buy this and it's good for 25 years of use.
You can get a heritage version with round headlights as well. But you want to know something? I know that's a limited edition with the round headlights. I like the more modern look. I like the one with the modern front end compared to the
Yeah, I
heritage
do
model.
too. But I like the look of the round headlights, but I don't really care
I
that they're
also like
round.
the two-tone paint. I do, and
Oh yeah, love it.
so very cool vehicle. Um, much more efficient, much more safe. A big step ahead. It's definitely got those flat top arched wheel wells, which, as you say, Range Rover, Range Rover, Range Rover. So there you have it. We'll be getting more information on this as it is available, and we got to get someone on to talk about it. I think because it is quite the vehicle, quite the vehicle. So. Um, let's talk a little tech, Les. You have a piece coming up on the Nautilus, and this is the Lincoln Nautilus and Nautilus in-cabin digital sense. We were
Right.
thinking of some odes that we would like, but this is a little bit different. They have some new ones, don't they?
Well, they say that the fragrances were especially curated by perfumiers.
Yeah, I know a bunch of those, don't you?
Yes, in collaboration with Lincoln designers. Um, they're available. The digital scents are available for purchase through Lincoln.com,
Gotcha.
Lincoln Access Rewards, or by going to the Walmart and getting
Giant
one of those
sprays.
things you plug in. Um, I kind of like the idea, but I don't. What I don't like is too much of that kind of
No.
thing.
You ever get in a vehicle and someone, like if you get in a cab or something, the guy's got that
Yeah,
Axe body wash on, and
it right.
you taste it as you get out. You're like, wow, that was
Exactly.
strong.
Or you use a combination of pine, sol,
Peppermint.
and old socks.
Yeah, barely masked. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well,
yeah, but they have a nice new one, Cloud Balsam,
yeah, that sounds nice.
Serene Seashore. I don't like the smell of the seashore myself.
Hints of juicy melon, fragrant lily, musk, and bright lemon.
Okay, lemon, you can't go wrong.
Twilight embers, floral jasmine, fresh apple. That's a good smell. Fresh apple.
Right.
Sunlight retreat, sandalwood, and rose highlight. Yeah, I mean, if it's
Okay.
not overdone, that's
Don't overdo it.
yeah, yeah.
It's
So
like guys used to be, back much more in the 70s when guys used to carry cologne with them all the time and they would just
well,
douse it on.
well, that's what that Axe stuff is now. The body wash, but it's so strong. I mean, it's like
Oh, yeah, it's
if you leave the room, your smell should not stay in the room. you know, just saying. I
wow.
mean, it's just a little bit too intense. You don't want to overstay your welcome.
Well, exactly. It should be just subtle, just or nothing, but
Yeah. Yeah. I got a question
subtle.
for you. Did you watch the penultimate Grand Tour yet? Sand Job. It is
Uh,
out
yes, I
streaming
did.
on
Yes, I did.
Amazon Prime. Uh, Now I haven't yet, and I don't want to for our audience. I don't want to be a spoiler, but did you like it?
I did like it. It was actually quite entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
I would never go on a trip like that.
No, in the
I don't care
desert.
if they are paying me $10 million a year. They've all of their trips like that over the years have been just beastly uncomfortable.
Yeah, and part of the reason why there's just one more after this, they said there. What did he say?
Yeah, they're
Clarkson said,
reaching.
"I have to stop because I'm old, fat, and unfit."
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that kind of thing just really takes a toll on you. And
Well, to
boy,
to
oh boy, did they.
to now we're going to give you a little taste of the car that he drove, that Clarkson drove, and just to give you an idea of what an influencer he truly is. He drove an F-type Jag that was modified, and all he merely said, maybe it was in his column, the car was fantastic. I really loved it. I liked it so much. I brought the car from the show back with me to
Yep.
and I also bought a new one for the street. Immediately, interest in the Jag F-Type skyrocketed, and I think it was up like almost 70% interest in that car. So
That car really impressed me on that show. The fact that it held together when the others kind of needed a lot of repair.
well, I tell you, Jeremy Clarkson, the super influencer that he is, he made a
That's
big
right.
difference.
And
When
no
we
one is harder on a car than Jeremy Clarkson.
That's true. When we come back, we're going to have an at the wheel of the Sentra. Stay tuned. And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Fred Staub and Les Jackson, and it is time, Les, for another at the wheel review.
Yes,
This
indeed.
time, it is a dare I say it, an affordable car. We
What?
were, yeah, doing the shots in the rain here, but this is the Sentra SR. This is a pre-production model, 2024 Sentra SR. In electric blue and super black. So it's a two-tone. It's got a black roof with the chrome strip and the electric blue there. Dare I say this? The Sentra is a bit of a deal if you're looking for a nice sporty sedan. And the new model year gets a refreshed exterior, improved fuel economy, and more premium features on the SV grade. And it starts, believe it or not, not this SR model, but it starts, the base model starts at $20,890. How about that?
Wow. That's, man, haven't heard that in a long time.
You haven't heard that in a long time. You're like, but no car can cost that. And there's a new Xtronic CVT, addition of idle stop start, a responsive 2-liter inline 4 engine, which leads to more fuel efficiency. And now we're going to talk about the Sentra SR. It's a sporty car, but it only makes 149 horsepower. But it gets some sporty accents and some a sporty interior. Of course, it's got the V-Motion grille up front and a dark chrome outer finish. That electric blue really finishes it off nice on the outside, and the two-tone paint with the chrome. Blacked out mirrors. I believe those are 18-inch wheels, so ride quality wasn't bad. As I say, this is not it looks a little sportier. It's got a rear spoiler, but it is not a super high output car with only 149 horsepower and 146 pound-feet of torque on tap. The base MSRP on this is $23,720. So you're getting an economy car with a little bit of sportiness and a little bit of flair on the outside. When we go on the inside, it is really a nice sporty interior. There's red piping on the seats. There's red stitching on the seats and on the console. Flat bottom steering wheel. And it's got a lot of features like plug-in, a wireless phone charger, and plug-ins for your USBs. I like that it has real gauges, and then it does have the stand-up screen with volume and tune knobs, which is nice. A lot of manual controls. I like this. Heated steering wheel, heated seats, dual zone air conditioning with knurled knobs. I am an old school guy when it comes to those controls. That stitching goes around the car on the dash and on the door cards. Out back, very similar. Pretty basic in the back here. Not a lot going on as far as amenities. There's no air conditioning or HVAC outlets. Only this one lone USB. The dashboard is dominated by those three outlets, air conditioning outlets. Overall, fit and finish, pretty nice. Trunk was decent. Nothing to report home about as far as quality. It was completely fine. Utilitarian. Underneath there was a compact spare and jack. Always nice to know it's there before you actually need it. Under the hood, the 2-liter double overhead cam 4-cylinder engine does not get an engine cover, keeping it a little less expensive. 149 horsepower, 146 pound-feet of torque. Key standard features are dual pinion electric power steering, intelligent brake system, active understeer control, automatic emergency braking, intelligent forward collision warning, blind spot warning, rear cross traffic alert, lane departure, high beam assist, rear view monitor, 5-passenger seating capability. It did have a power sliding glass moonroof. With tilt feature, leatherette seats, 6-way power drivers, intelligent around view monitor, which is always nice, 8-speaker Bose premium audio system, sun visors with illuminated vanity mirrors, heated steering wheel, Nissan Connect services, Wi-Fi hotspot, and it will get updated over the air via Wi-Fi. So that extra package there, the premium package, was $2,490. Two-tone paint, a steal at $250. Go for it. Floor mats, $270. Interesting, the two-tone paint is more than the floor mats. Destination and handling, $1,095. And then total, that brings it all up to $27,825. Probably, I would probably say you could get this for about $25,000, don't you think, Les Jackson?
I would think. And it's not what you would call a loss leader or a
no, it's got a lot
level. They're pretty high quality. In the old days, you would, and I assume this is the case. I haven't driven one in 3 or 4 years. But when you close the door, you don't hear that old hollow sound that you used to hear in more entry level cars.
Not at all. And once again, don't get it twisted. This is not going to knock your socks out performance wise. It was completely adequate in its acceleration, getting on highways and things like that. It drove well. I would say the high points, like all Nissan vehicles, it's loaded with the safety features. They're all standard. It's got a decent interior with a leatherette seating surfaces. It's got a decent sound system. It's got decent infotainment. It's got the volume knob and the tuning knob, which I love. I think that is one of the best things to avoid driver distraction. And pretty decent interior for the money. I have to say, if you could get this for about 25, you could get the non-SR model for a lot less. It starts at $20,000.
Right.
And you could get something in between that if you didn't even want to go this money. I think you could probably get a nicely equipped one of these for $23,000 or so. One of the upgraded models, not necessarily the SR. You're not going to be smoking the hides in this thing, but you're not going to be, sitting at the side of the road either. So,
Yeah, and you're going to be getting pretty good gas mileage.
It also comes with the easy fill tire alert system, which is nice. It blows the horn when your tire is up to pressure, which is a nice little thing to have. Yeah. So with the comeback of sedans and a lot more people interested in sedans, I'm wondering, will these things become a bit more popular? The price point is right. It is well below the average car price. It's reliable. It's got the safety equipment. It's got decent looks. It's got decent fit and finish. I think if you're looking to make a perfect first car because it's not horsepower crazy.
Right.
But once again, when I was driving it, I didn't think like, oh man, I'm really, I can't accelerate or I can't stay up with people on the highway. I had this on the highway. I found it to be completely fine and certainly would be a great car to have in your fleet. We'll put it that way. And it's got a heated steering wheel. I like heated steering wheels.
Which is really nice.
Yeah. So there you have it. The Nissan Sentra SR, another at the wheel review in the books. And that's it for another Cruise Control show. We appreciate you listening and watching. Time for me to say I'm Fred Staub.
I'm Les Jackson.
We are going to see you down the road.
Bye. Okay.